You know, in Bangladesh, there's this one single piece of paper that has become the key to dozens of everyday activities. Everything from getting a loan to starting a business, you really can't ignore it. And today, we're going to break down exactly what it is, when you need it, and why it matters so much.
So, are you thinking about applying for a pretty sizable loan anytime soon? Or maybe just getting a new credit card? Or, hey, maybe you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to get a trade license and finally start your own company. These are all huge, exciting steps in life and business, right?
Well, under the current laws, all of them, and I mean dozens more, are all connected by a single requirement. A single piece of proof that you absolutely have to provide before you can move forward. So what is this document?
Okay, let's dive into it. To really understand the proof you need, we have to start with the system itself. And that system begins with something called a TIN.
A TIN is your taxpayer's identification number. The easiest way to think about it is like your unique ID in the national tax system. The law uses a fancy word for a taxpayer, an assessee, but all it means is this 12-digit number officially puts you on the radar of the National Board of Revenue.
So who actually needs to get one? Well, Section 261 of the law makes it pretty clear. Basically, you have to register if you're supposed to file a tax return, if you're already a taxpayer, or, and this is the important one, if you need to show proof that you filed. You can even just register voluntarily if you want to.
But see, having a TIN is just step one. The real game changer here is the requirement to show what the law calls proof of submission of return. And this document is really what this whole explainer is all about.
Now, what does this proof actually look like? Is it some complicated thing? Nope. Section 264 defines it very clearly. It can be the simple acknowledgement receipt you get after filing, it could be a system-generated certificate, or it could be an official certificate from a Deputy Commissioner of Taxes. Any one of those three works.
All right, and this brings us to the most important question of all. When do you actually have to show this proof? This is where things get really interesting because the list of situations is, well, it's massive.
Yeah, that's not a typo. We're talking about more than 45 different situations where you are now legally required to show this proof. The scope is just huge, and it touches nearly every single part of your financial and civic life. Let's try to break this down a bit. First, let's look at personal finance. This proof is now required for almost any major transaction. Applying for a loan over 20 lakh taka, you need it. Just trying to get or keep a credit card, you'll need it. Thinking about buying property over 10 lakh or investing a good chunk in savings instruments? Yep, you have to show that proof for all of that too. And for all you entrepreneurs out there, this has become a fundamental part of doing business. You will need this proof to become a company director, to get or even just renew a trade license, or to get import and export certificates. Even something like bidding on a government contract or getting a gas connection for your business, it all depends on it. It's pretty much unavoidable. And it goes way beyond just finance and business. Your professional life, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, it's required for your memberships. The same goes for major life events, like registering a car, getting certain licenses, or even enrolling your child in an English medium school. It even touches on your civic duties, like if you decide to run for office. Okay, so what happens if these rules aren't followed? Well, the law puts the burden not just on you as an individual, but also on the authorities who are responsible for checking these documents in the first place.
And here's a really key part of how this is all enforced. The responsibility isn't just on you. A bank officer, a licensing authority, a land registrar, they can't just take your word for it and file the paperwork. Section 264 makes it absolutely mandatory for them to verify that your proof is authentic.
And the penalty for an official who fails to do that verification? It is steep. They can be fined up to 10 lakh taka. This just shows how seriously the government is taking enforcement. They're making the gatekeepers responsible.
There's another rule that is specifically for businesses. According to Section 265, if you run a business, you're required to actually display your proof of return submission in a visible place. If you don't do that, you could be facing a penalty anywhere from 20,000 to 50,000 taka.
So we've covered why you need a TIN and all the times you need to prove you've used it. But what happens when you don't need one anymore? Can you just close your tax file and call it a day?
Well, Section 262 outlines two different ways a TIN can be canceled. The first path is one you start yourself, for reasons like a company dissolving, or you leaving the country for good, or having no taxable income for 3 straight years. But the second path is started by the board itself. If a TIN is used for financial crime, was based on false info, or has no legitimate income source. But this brings up a really fascinating final question. When a TIN is canceled, does your entire record just vanish? Does it just disappear from the system forever?
And the law is absolutely explicit about this. Cancellation simply makes your TIN inactive. It makes it dormant. It does not mean your information is erased or deleted. Your data is still on file. And that's a pretty powerful final thought. Once you're in the system, a part of your record always remains.